Well, starting out, I really honestly want to just thank you guys here at Carolina Reefing Community because like Matt was saying, we're both headed in the same direction, and I feel that it's on the positive side of trying to grow the hobby, trying to give back to the hobby, try to bring up good information, useful information. And so when two people is rowing in the same direction, you're going to get there a lot quicker. So honestly, thank you for tonight. I was like, when Matt messaged me and he was like, "You want to be on our Zoom meeting?" And I was like, "What?" So I was super excited about it. So tonight, I just wanted to kind of touch base on on a few things, but on a couple of the live foods that I raise to feed my tanks. Um, First up, I'm going to talk about rotifers. Rotifers are a great nutrition for a great source of nutrition for the home aquarium, especially if you're breeding fish, which is actually why I first began to culture rotifers. After many failed attempts, I had managed to successfully hatch clownfish. And I'm telling you, many attempts. But I finally got it. And so, I was like, I knew I had to start culturing rotifers myself. So, knowing that from previous research that that is the first foods that is needed for clownfish fry. And they're also really good at maintaining a balanced ecosystem. And I'm going to list a few examples of why they're beneficial. Uh, Rotifers are a nutrient rich live food. They are packed with proteins, essential fatty acids, and vitamins, making them an excellent food source for fish larvae and small aquatic creatures. Like I have a pair of firefish in my tank. Beautiful. I love them. But the firefish, and they just go nuts when I put rotifers in there. Um, Another benefit of the rotifers added to the home reef tank that I personally have seen and observed is coral polyps, like capturing them in the water column. So I do know that happens. And rotifers also supports fish fry growth. Many fish fry have tiny mouths and require microscopic food, and rotifers provide the perfect size and nutrition for their early development. All the littles in our tank enjoy these. And like I even have a psychedelic mandarin in there that when I put rotifers in the tank, and I turn my pump off so I can keep them all up in the display for a while. So I turn the pump off and I just leave my wave makers on, and it creates this circling effect. And man, I've seen the mandarin eating them, several different things, but especially my firefish, the smaller things, they really love them. Rotifers also encourage natural feeding behavior. Since rotifers move through the water, they stimulate the hunting instincts of fish because that is just built in them, keeping your fish active and engaged. Literally, all the fish come out and are active when I add rotifers to the tank. And rotifers can also help maintain water quality. Rotifers consume algae, bacteria, and detritus, contributing to nutrient recycling and an overall ecosystem balance. And believe it or not, they are very easy to culture. They can be cultured at home with minimal equipment, making them a convenient and sustainable food source for your aquarium. Now is the fun part. I am going to show you how I culture rotifers. It's actually pretty simple. A lot of people get kind of keyed up about doing it, but it is very simple. So we use a 5-gallon bucket that I'm almost positive we as hobbyists can virtually have 1 or 20 within reach. So I mix up freshly made salt water, Now I mix it up to a salinity of 1.018 to 1.020. I know that sounds a little bit low, but it's perfect for the rotifers. They seem to reproduce better in a lower salinity, at least for me. That's what I have figured out. So we fill the bucket about 3/4 of the way full, okay, with the lower salinity, salt water. Now you fill the bucket, about 3/4 of the way full. Add a culture of rotifers. You can find them a lot of different places. Now, one big, huge mistake that I have seen with people trying to culture rotifers is they will stick a heater in the bucket. So do not add a heater. It's like, that's like almost a guarantee that you're going to crash that bucket. They do not need a heater. And another positive thing is they also do not require a light. So that's two pluses right there. No heater and no light. Okay. So I add phytoplankton. Now you can use live phytoplankton, and I was until I discovered a more economical way that provides them with all the nutrition they need at literally a fraction of the cost. I'll order from Brown Shrimp Direct a bottle of the paste, a tetraselmis paste, and a nanochloropsis paste. Now I get those from Brown Shrimp Direct. I pour those together into one container. Okay, so I've got a nano tetra mix. So I pour those together into one container. And if anybody orders from Brown Shrimp Direct, let me tell you, there's a code that you can use to actually get an extra % off on your order. Use code TTWT5, and that will get you an additional price off. So when beginning your culture of rotifers, it's good to feed the bucket twice a day, once in the morning and once in the evening. Now, I'll be honest with you, my culture is so thick that we only feed once a day, but trying to get your culture built up, you're going to want to feed twice a day, once in the morning and once in the evening. For the paste that I use, which is the nano tetra mixed together, you're going to use 2 milliliters of that of the morning and 2 milliliters of that in the evening. And it's honestly, this is serious. I mean, I'm being super honest here. It's best to feed less than more. You can actually overfeed them and you're going to crash your bucket. So the water should look, if you're not using the nano tetra paste like I am, and so you're like, well, how much do I need? How much do I need to put in there? You can start dripping it at whatever you're using. Whether it be live phytoplankton or whatever, and you can start putting it in there. And the water should look about the color of Mountain Dew. That's kind of how I would base it, is about the color of Mountain Dew. And so if you feed that in the morning, by the evening, your water should be almost clear. So a pro tip that I have for you, to get an accurate look at the color of the water, scoop some up out of the bucket and put it like in a clear glass jar or whatever, and hold it up to the light, shine a light on it, and you can, let's see, here it is. I don't know, that may be too much lighting. I don't know if that's going to show you good or not.
Yeah, we can see it.
When you hold it in front of you, closer to your head, we see it better. Go back a little bit. There you go.
Okay, got you right there. Okay. When we shine the light on it, which it may be too much light, but that's a fairly thick culture. You can actually see them swimming around in there. So this is about what it should look like right here. And so that's how you're going to get an accurate look of how thick your culture is, and also whether or not you need to feed again. So this right here is, see if I can figure it out again. Bear with me, guys. I'm new to this Zoom thing. That's about the color that you're going to want to get it. So you do that, and you can really see, you know, just how many rotifers you've got in there. Now, today is Thursday. Yesterday, there was a water change done on the bucket, and we fed rotifers to the tanks up here. And I also sent some rotifers to an individual, huge culture. And so this is how many is in there today. And so rotifers reproduce fairly quickly. They can actually, what do you do when you're out of town? You can, yeah, they will actually double in quantity every 24 hours. So it really doesn't take long to have plenty of rotifers. We actually have 2 buckets going. As far as when I go out of town, my grandson's girlfriend, like, she is so good at taking care of everything for me. She takes care of everything in here. So yeah, they do double in quantity every 24 hours. How much water? Okay, I'll get to that water change. But this right here, this is what you're going to want to do actually, is to see the color because when you're looking down in the bucket, it's a different, I don't know, it kind of gives you a vision of it being a different color. So what you're going to want to do is hold it up in a jar like this, put a flashlight on it, and see actually the color of it and everything. So aeration. Now, they don't need a light, they don't need a heater, but they do need aeration. You use a drip and doser to take care of them out of town. You know, I honestly can't answer that because my thought would be no. And the reason is most phytoplankton has to it needs to be kept in the fridge. The phytoplankton or the paste that, that I mix up and use, actually needs to be kept in the fridge. So if you can figure out how to put it in the fridge, and then drip it in, you could do that. I just have never done that. So I don't really want to say, yeah, you can, or no, you can't. But they do need aeration. So this is what I'm going to show you. You're going to take, this is a lid to a 5-gallon bucket right here. You're gonna, to get their aeration the way that you need it, you're going to drill a hole in the lid, and the drill bit size is like a 25/64 is what he used. So what we've done is we have a rigid airline tubing right here, and this is the attached airline that will go to your pump. Okay, so here's the let's see if I can focus it in again. Maybe maybe you can see it right there. Yeah, I call it a rigid airline tubing, but it's actually a water line. And let me show you what one looks like that hasn't been put on yet. It's this right here. It is a supply line, actually, for like your kitchen, like under your sink. This right here is what that is. It's rigid, and an airline will generally fit in there. If it's a little bit too tight, you can't get it in there, just take your drill or knife or whatever and haul this out just a little bit more. We usually don't have to do that, but slide your airline in there. So you can find these at Lowe's, Home Depot, all that kind of stuff. So but now this lid that we've made for our bucket is it's actually very important, because if because you're going to want to cut this off a little bit, because once this lid sets on your bucket, you do not want this hole, this rigid airline, to be all the way to the bottom of the bucket. You want it about 3 or so inches above the bottom of the bucket. And the reason for that is because is because if you make that rigid airline tubing go all the way to the bottom of the bucket, and at that point it is pushing the air out, what it does, it stirs up this gunk that will eventually form in the bottom of the bucket, and it will actually cause it to crash. So it's very important that you don't run your tubing all the way to the very bottom of the bucket, because it'll indeed stir that up. So then you can like lightly place your lid over the bucket, connect the airline to your pump, and I use an adjustable pump where I can turn the flow up or down, because you don't want it to look like it's boiling in there. So you just want a slower tumble on the water flow. And if it's going too fast, they will actually have trouble feeding off of the phytoplankton. So you just a rolling tumble, not a boil. So you don't want it just blasting. So now to the water change. Every 7 days, we do 100% water change on the rotifers. So to do that, you will need another one of those, I don't know, 5,000 5-gallon buckets we have sitting around. Grab you another one. So take your new bucket that you just grabbed, mix your water to about 1.018 to 1.020 salinity, and put that in your new clean bucket. So now you're fixing to do your water change. So you're going to take, first thing you want to do, always do this, please. Take a food grade container. This happens to be a coffee creamer, powdered coffee creamer container that I use. So we know this is food safe. So I just wash it out and I use these. So once it's all washed out and everything, just take the lid off, reach down in there and scoop up this amount, whatever, out of your bucket that you're fixing to do a water change on. And then you're going to put the lid on it. And I like these because you can pop this little top up right here. So you're going to pop the top up or leave the lid off, whatever container that you use, and you're going to put it in the refrigerator. Okay. So I know that sounds weird, but by doing that, you will save yourself from ever having to buy a starter culture again, because this will last in the fridge for like 2 weeks. So or you can do it every time that you do a water change, just always scoop some new ones out and put them in the fridge, and they'll last in the fridge for about 2 weeks. And you can actually use these to start a new culture with. Yeah, let it warm up a little bit out of the fridge. Don't just take them from fridge and dump them in your bucket. So float the container or whatever and let it kind of come up to temperature. So you always want to keep a spare, because if they're going to crash, if your bucket's going to crash, 100% guaranteed it's going to crash on hatch night. You want to ask me how I know that? Because that had happened. And the only thing that saved me was the culture that we had in the refrigerator. So always keep extra. And then if you don't need them and don't use them, you can either use them to start another culture, or you can just dispose of them, whatever, or let them come up to temperature, sieve them out, and put them, feed them in one of your tanks. Doesn't matter. So let's see, where was I? Yeah. So we're going to take the bucket that we're fixing to do the water change on. Okay, you pull out the airline. So just lift the lid, the rigid airline comes out with it. So you're going to remove the airline, allow it to settle for just a few minutes. And then you're going to begin pouring slowly into a 50 to 52 micron sieve. I've got one right here. This is LaVoy has made these for me, which is another lifesaver actually, because those sieves can be pretty expensive. So you're going to and actually I think we're probably going to do a video on how he has made these for us. and probably post it up on TikTok. So gonna want to join if you're not in there. If you want to learn how to make these, they're very inexpensive. I would guess probably, I'd have to figure it again, but probably less than $2 a piece or thereabouts $2. And then so now we've got our bucket. We're pouring it slowly into our micron seed. Okay.
Are you straining
So,
them through and collecting them?
yes.
Okay.
So another pro tip we kind of figured out, if you take another one of your 5-gallon buckets, and I know y'all got plenty of, if you put an egg crate on top of it and then set your sieve on it, you can then have both hands free and it's easier to handle. And you pour into your sieve, that water runs through, it traps the rotifers in here, the water runs through, and then it goes into your bucket, so you can just throw that out later. So you don't have to, I'm just trying to make things easier. When you get older, you always try to make things easier. But that's a good tip right there for everybody. So your rotifers, it allows the water to pass through, trapping the rotifers into the seed. So when you get near the bottom, you're going to start seeing the gunk that I was telling you about. We stop pouring, we pour down to the gunk because we don't want that gunk to get in our sieve with our rotifers. So we then take the sieve and literally just kind of rinse it out in the new bucket of water that you just made. So you just kind of rinse it off in there, and then you're going to feed them and with the phytoplankton, and you're going to put the airline back in. You're all done. Pretty simple. So no heater, no light, and feed twice a day, once in the morning and once in the evening. We use 2 milliliters. We'll actually use 4 because we only do ours once because our culture is so thick. So and they're so good for the tank. So now while we're on
So
this
are you continuing that? Sorry, Tian. So you continuing that culture over and over and over, and just that's how you have it?
correct, yes.
How long did you have that culture?
I've had this culture for over 4 years.
Amazing. Well done.
Yeah, thank you. And we would have lost everything had we not
Yeah, that's a pro
saved some.
tip right there.
It is. And these work so handy. It's like coffee creamer, powdered coffee creamer, but you can just leave that lid up. Now, once you put these in the fridge, they'll go dormant. So they're not going to reproduce in the fridge. So what you put in there is what you're going to get out. But you'll have enough in there to always start a culture back. But remember not to, they only live in refrigerated, Jen, just in the refrigerator. But it is literally a lifesaver because you will never have to buy another culture or get another culture from someone to start your own, because these little containers like this and taking them
Just
up once a week really saves you.
just want to go back. You said that it was a brine shrimp direct.
Brine shrimp, yes, where I get the paste from, the Nanochloropsis and
Mm-hmm.
Tetracermas. Yes, it is brine shrimp direct.
And I also saw that Reef Nutrition have like a starter pack for it.
I
Starter
believe
kit.
I believe that they do.
They do. I drop up the link. Yeah, and it comes with the paste and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. I just find it much cheaper to do this. Honestly, comparing the
Right.
price of the paste, especially. But I mean, why do we need another bucket? We've got 5,000 of those buckets sitting
Oh
around.
my
So
God. Tell me about it.
I know, right? So anyway, it is it's a lot simpler for me anyway. I mean, I'm not knocking the kits. If someone wants to buy the kit, have at it. I just try to look at the cost effectiveness of it. And that's just like the sieves. You can buy sieves out there and sometimes they're $50, $60, or you can make some like we have. So anyway, I just kind of look at the cost
I
effectiveness.
think we need a bottle of Mama T rotifers.
I'm telling you, there's a lot of my rotifers around in different areas. I can guarantee you. I I try to help people out any that I can, so I always do that. So yeah, I've got my culture, and I've had this same, like I said, I've had this same culture for probably 4 years now. So yeah, it's a very hardy culture, and I enjoy doing it. I just think they're really cool. The rotifers are just these little cute little creatures that works really well in our tank. And I was kind of I don't want to say forced, but I was pushed to culture rotifers since we managed to be able to breed and raise clownfish. And
Mhm.
so I kind of stepped out of my zone, I guess, a little bit, but that's the only way you're going to figure things out is if you try. So that's what we did. So, but yeah, I mean, it's really, I mean, I tried to, take you through it, and it kind of sounds like a lot, but in actuality, it really isn't. It's not a lot. And so I encourage, everyone, and if anyone, even after this meeting is over or whatever, and if you're thinking about starting something, feel free to reach out to me. I don't care to answer any questions that you have that possibly you missed. Um, but I will tell you this. I have talked to a couple of people, and like, I send them some rotifers, and I tell them, exactly what to do, and like, but they were overdoing it. Literally, these things does not take a lot of effort. But they were like sieving out, or, taking like a half a gallon of water out like every day and putting fresh water in, and I'm like, oh dear God, you know. So they were actually overdoing it. It's the simpler way that it works. I don't top it off in between my weekly water changes. I don't do that. So it's really, I mean, some people were really overdoing it. So once I got them lined out and figured out what they were doing wrong, they now raise rotifers also.
So
So
you keeping them in a dark bucket then,
yeah, with
with just an air hose.
yep, this is what we do. And I don't know if
Mm.
this is going to show it or not, but
Oh.
we'll set it on there. You can set the lid like that on it, but most of the time we'll kind of cock the lid to the side a little bit. Don't even ask me
Mhm.
why, but you can actually put it on there. So literally, they require zero light. Um, you need a new starter culture. It's very rewarding to do, to do it, and then we know that fish in the wild
Yeah.
doesn't get pellets dropped to them, for goodness sake. So that's why I feel that it's very important to have some live things for the fish to, chase after, because that instinct is there. And it always will be. So I think
Yeah.
it's really good to have, um, something live, to feed them. So, um,
I know you've talked about this so many times before, but it finally dawned on me.
it's I love raising the live foods and stuff. To me it makes a huge difference, especially because like you really get to deal with your tank. You know, a lot of people are, and I'm not knocking automation and things like that. I'm just not
Right.
techy. But I prefer hands-on doing with the tank. And the more attention that you give your tank, actually, the more you're going to come to know your tank, because the tank will actually talk to you. You're going to have your corals that's going to be your alarm bells that something is not right. Duncans are one good thing. If they're looking kind of weird, you might ought to start checking something, because something ain't right. But everybody usually gets that one coral or two that is their little alarm bells that, hey, something's not right. And so when you're doing more things for your tank, you notice your tank more.
Yeah.
You come to realize, okay, this is something's wrong, or hey, look at this, everything looks really good. So I'm not saying not to tax or to test or anything, but I'm saying if you want like like a heads up on something, really pay attention to your tank.
100%.
Yeah. Now, do you recommend culturing brine as a complement to the rotifer feed? Actually, yes. I mean, I do brine shrimp. Those are super simple, and so I didn't feel the need to include that in here as how I do it. But if anyone wants to know, I can actually message you or whatever how I do it. But yes, brine shrimp are really good for your tank and stuff. And all the littles in there, we'll eat them. So yeah, those are really good. Now, while we're on the subject of phytoplankton, I'm going to share just a few minutes with you of something that I do. I purchased this other paste from Brine Shrimp Direct. It is called, I don't know if this will show it or not. It's a Tahitian blend cryo paste. It's a natural food for reef tanks, corals, and for growing small zooplankton, especially rotifers, artemia, and daphnia. So this is the Tahitian blend. This is a 500 milliliter bottle. Keep that number in mind, because you're going to realize something in just a minute. It's a 500 milliliter bottle. I believe it's like $39 on their website. It's not that expensive. 500 milliliters. So I take a half a gallon of water. Now, if you use, this is Roti water, okay? So if you take a half gallon, now you can use salt water, but you're going to want to keep an eye on your salinity if you do this, because it will, over time, it will raise your salinity a little bit. So I just now do it with plain RODI water. And this is just a pitcher, plastic pitcher from Walmart. And I take the phytoplankton, the Tahitian blend, okay, and I actually, I'm going to show you how to make this first. This is 8 milliliters in a syringe that I drew up out of this bottle. This is 8 milliliters. So I'll take the cap off. This is a half gallon of water. I squirt it in there. On there, put this down. And instantly I have, well, maybe it's going to show you. Instantly, I have a half a gallon of phytoplankton. Now, this is a cryo paste, and I'm not saying that it is a live phytoplankton, but I am saying that it does everything just as it was like before what I was using. So this is right here, store it in the refrigerator. That's how easy it is to make. Okay, keep in mind, I told you this is 500 milliliters. It takes 8 milliliters to make a half gallon. So if you do the math, you're going to find out that it's less than $1 to make a half gallon of phytoplankton. So I began using this in June of last year. After me doing it for a while, because I wasn't going to tell anybody about it till I tried it out myself, you know. I began using it in June of last year. I then shared the tip of how to do it with my admin and my moderators on my page. They began to use it, seeing the same effects of the live phytoplankton. The paste, this right here, the paste will store in the freezer for up to 2 years. Okay, so this is going to make a lot of phytoplankton. So to make the process of making this even simpler, you've seen me do it in less than 2 minutes, I'm sure. Yeah, you bet it is. So what I did was I purchased these syringes off Amazon. They're 10 milliliters. And I drew up 8 milliliters and put the little cap back on. And I put them all in a Ziploc bag. Right here. I didn't see it. So now when I go to make a jug, half gallon, now it's 8 milliliters for a half a gallon. So it's going to be 16 milliliters for a whole gallon. But these are all half gallons because that's usually what I mix up at one time. So I just put this bag in the freezer. And when I'm ready, I just get water in my pitcher, or you put whatever container that you're using, pull one of these out, squirt it in there, and shake it up. So this is very simple. It even makes the process a lot quicker. So I've been doing it.
So is what you feed your rotifer and all the life culture?
The Tahitian blend
Uh-huh.
is what I mix up and I dose in my 120 in my tanks.
Oh, okay.
My 125. I get this same paste, but it's nanochloropsis. I get 2 balls, a nanochloropsis and a tetracellular. And I
Okay.
mix those two together because the rotifers doesn't really, I tried this on the rotifers and it works, but it seemed to make the bucket get more gunky, if that's a word. I don't know. I'll
Mm-hmm.
try. Yeah, there's basically some of the some of the uh, phytoplankton that is included in this that the rotifers just really won't eat. So we just give them the nano and the tetra. So we mix those two together, and that's what we feed the rotifers out of. I actually dose this in my tank every night instead of like a live phytoplankton. It does this, to me, it does the same as the live phytoplankton. Plus, the only thing that has made any difference from me going from the live phytoplankton to this is I've got more money in my wallet because we all know how much a half gallon of live phytoplankton is.
Does it raise your phosphate at all?
Mm-mm,
No?
nope.
Because in my experience, when I did just a live but dead phyto, it will
Mm-hmm.
raise my phosphate. Okay, good to know.
I,
Thanks, Tian.
I have not noticed that at all. So, I mean, I just wanted to share that with y'all because it literally takes less than 2 minutes to do. And it has saved me and others just honestly tons of money. And yeah, once you put this in the refrigerator, it will last like up to 3 months. So when you get it out to go feed your um, dose in your tank and everything, yes, they do. You want to give it a little bit of shape because there'll be a little bit of settlement in here. It'll still look just like this green, but there'll be a little bit of darker in the bottom, just like a thin little layer. So give it a good shake before you dose it into your tank. So that is the tip I wanted to share with y'all. I've actually on my TikTok, I actually have made a video of how I done this, and it has been shared hundreds of times, and it's got over 12,000 views on it, and I've had some wonderful feedback from all the people that are using it there. And to get a plug in, it is also on, if you wasn't taking notes and you want to know how to do it, head over to tanktalkwithtian.com. That video is also posted over there as to how to exactly do that. So there we are with the rotifers. Now, I don't know how much time we got, but I'm going to tell you about the white worms.
You have the floor. We have as much time as you want it.
Yeah, you have all the time you need.
Floor is yours. I'll
Okay,
drop the link to your website.
thank you. Another live food that I raise continually for my tank is white worms. I don't know if you're familiar with them or not, but white worms are beneficial for our tank. They're beneficial by stimulating natural feeding behavior, which I talked about that a little bit ago with the rotifers, because in the wild they're used to hunting for their food instead of a pellet dropping down to them. So it does stimulate their natural feeding behavior. It improves their digestion and activity. And whiteworms also provide an excellent source of nutrition for the fish. And I'm going to tell you why they are so nutritional. There's different ways to culture whiteworms. You can read up on it wherever, but there's different ways to culture them. But this is what works for me. I know it works for me. I've had this culture going for a long time. And so I do know it works. So I get a Tupperware container. I mean, whatever. It doesn't have to be very deep. That's my finger if you can see it. Right there. It does just a flatter top. This is a Glad. You can get it from the dollar store or wherever. I get a Tupperware container like this. And I cut a small hole in either the lid like this or in the side right here, and just shove a little piece of sponge in that hole. Now, the reason that you're going to want to do that is that allows air in for the whiteworms, but it keeps the whiteworms in there. So that's their air source right there. So, but it allows enough air to come in to keep the worms going. Now, I use peat moss. Mine is I'm sure I'm going to say this wrong, sphagnum peat moss. Just the regular kind. You can find some like potting soils and things like that, but they've got these little white styrofoam balls in it. You don't want to use that. So get you a decent peat moss. And let me tell you, it goes a long way. You'll want to take a spray bottle of water and begin to moisten the soil, the peat moss that you're using. Start misting it, spray, don't hold it under the faucet. Get you a little spray bottle of water and start misting it. Take your hand, mix it around, mist it some more, keep mixing it and misting. You're not going to want it wet, like sopping wet, but it does need to be damp, slightly damp. Snag you a good culture of whiteworms. You're going to add them to your peat moss in here. And then sometimes when I start a new culture, like I'll get my soil or my peat moss all ready, and then I'll kind of like scoop some up in my hand or a small container, and then I'll take the whiteworms that I'm going to start my culture with, and I'll put them in there, and then put that dirt down, and then put the rest, kind of like your ice on a cake. But anyway, you kind of layer them like that a little bit. You don't have to, but that's just one thing that I do. So I wanted to include that when I was telling you how I do it. So you're going to get all your whiteworms in there, and then we're going to feed them. Surprisingly, what these things eat is I take whatever the cheapest kind you could get, 100% whole wheat bread. You literally got to lay down a slice of bread on a plastic or paper towel or whatever, and you're going to want to spread it with a thin layer of this whole milk Greek yogurt. Now, what you can do is, like, if you're not sure about if you're getting the right kind or not, look on the ingredients. If it contains live and culture and active cultures, at least 3 different live cultures in this yogurt, then you're fine. You don't want it flavored, you just want it plain. So you're going to take and you're going to spread a thin layer of this yogurt on a piece of whole wheat, 100% whole wheat bread. Spread a thin layer, and then I sprinkle on nutritional yeast. I get this order this off of Amazon. Not very expensive and lasts a long, long time. So once you've got your slice of whole wheat bread, spread it with a little bit of the whole milk yogurt, unflavored, again, unflavored. Sprinkle it with just a little bit of the nutritional yeast. And then to make it even more nutritional, I had not always done this from the beginning, but I learned this into keeping whiteworms, is Benepet's powder. it's called Reef. It's not pellets, it is a powdered version. We use it for corals, coral food. So some of you may have some of that around. So I sprinkle a little bit of this on the bread also. And then I'll cut it up into 3 or 4 pieces, whatever, it doesn't matter. That's not super important. That's just what I do. But this right here, guys, I don't know if any of you knew it or not, but this stuff, when they first made this, it wasn't for corals. It was engineered for whiteworms. That was the use of this. It was designed originally for whiteworms. So as you can see, the whiteworms eat this. They eat the bread, they eat the yogurt, they eat the nutritional yeast flakes, they eat the benefits. So these worms are literally gut loaded with some great nutrition. And so that is getting then passed on to our fish. So they're super fortified, but it does pass through to the fish, all that nutrition. And literally when I feed my tank, my my fish go nuts. When I feed my whiteworms out, they do go nuts. One thing that I do also, this is, I know you know what this is, plastic canvas. I think they used to make little crochet things on it or something for tissue paper holders or something. I get a sheet of this and I place it on top of this bread. I'm gonna, if it'll show you or not. Oh, there's my bread. And let's see. Like, I just changed the bread out yesterday and look, like they've almost ate this whole entire slice right here. And on the top, when your worms start breeding, well, you will actually see these little tiny white dots on top of your dirt, and those are your eggs. So it's pretty simple. And I was trying to see, these might have went down further because I got them out of the fridge a while ago, and they do need to be put in the refrigerator. They need to be kept cold. I use a wine cooler, a little wine cooler fridge. This is not very big. And so when you put all this together, so they've got their air right here, they've got their nutrition, they don't need any light in your refrigerator or anything. When you pop that lid back on to set them in the refrigerator, make sure that your lid is snapped on really well. You want to know how I know that? Because I have 4 containers of these going. In a rush or whatever, or just because I'm getting old.
Did they crawl all over the refrigerator?
Indeed, they did. They were. It just the wine cooler fridge, so it wasn't like my kitchen fridge, but oh my glory. Yeah, that was a mess. I'll tell you, it was a huge mess. So push down extra one time just to avoid that. So as far as their feeding schedule goes, I change the bread out about every 4 days, 3 to 4 days, something like that. And that's it. You know, sometimes they will crawl up on the lid. You know, they'll crawl up on this sheet right here also. You can I just take my finger, wipe them off, and dip my hand or finger down in the tank and let them go. So that's how you do or how I do. Like I said, there's different ways, but I know this works for me, and that's why I wanted to share it with you, because
so you fill that Tupperware with potting soil mix, right?
Yeah, it's a peat moss, peat moss. And you don't want to fill it like to the top. Like if you can see it right here, there's the sponge on this particular container, because in the wine fridge, like there's basically room from the stack like this So the top one has the hole cut in the top for their air, but the ones that sits below it has got the side air vent. So this is just literally just a piece of sponge that we have crammed in this hole that allows them, and the dirt's right below, starts about right here. So you don't need it like super deep or anything. And
So they don't crawl out, but they also get the air.
correct. They'll get plenty of air with this piece of sponge, but yet they won't crawl out. So yeah, you don't want them traveling on you, I can tell you from experience. If
What-
I can find
Funny.
if I can find that picture again, I'll put it.
Please post that picture. That's hilarious.
Oh, it was crazy. But these are so nutritional. Think how much nutrition you're getting to your fish with 100% whole wheat bread and the whole milk yogurt, the nutritional yeast flakes, and then top it off with a little splash of the Reef. I mean, these things are literally gut loaded, and my fish absolutely loves them. Now, someone will probably ask, what if they don't all get eaten in the tank? Believe it or not, these white worms can swim around in there and live in there for up to 5 days. And so what that does is, if you've got some like fish and inverts and things like that that are more into the down in the rocks and stuff, it gives them a chance to find them and eat them. I can't stress enough how nutritional this stuff is for your fish. And literally they absolutely go insane when I feed the fish with the white ones.
What temperature is your wine fridge at?
It's at, I would have to go look. I think it's like in the 50s, like lower 50s. As long as they're not freezing and they're not super warm. So that just, yeah, you could take it down to like 38 or 40. It's not going to hurt, just as long as they're not frozen or it doesn't freeze. And like I said, I feed the white worms every 3 to 4 days, give them some. It's not like I give them, that's all I give them, because I'm all about mixing everything up, trying different things, giving them different foods. I know I wouldn't want to eat the same thing every darn day. So I do mix it up. And basically I give them the white worms like you don't have to, this is just what I do. But like I'll feed my tank like a mixture of frozen foods in the mornings, and then like in the afternoon they get a snack, and generally it's the white worms or dumping rotifers in. So it works really well for me. And I will try to get a video of completely doing it from start to finish on the white worms, and hopefully I can get that posted up on our website also. So that's how I do that. So you've got, I didn't discuss how to, but the brine shrimp is a very good thing for your tank. The rotifers, super easy and works really, really well. And also the white worms, very beneficial, very beneficial. So
What do you give culture of white worms, Tian? Because I remember getting copper band about 2 years ago, and I was looking for it and I couldn't find anywhere.
You should have messaged me.
Darn.
I know, right? Actually, I got one of my moderators, Travis. I got him started in doing the white worms. You guys know me, or a lot of you know me enough to know that I basically don't sell anything. I try to help out any that I can, but I honestly don't sell anything. But I try to give back to the community. But I believe Travis has cultures that he does sell. I have cultures. I have 4 containers going right now. So find you a good source. There is some, I have seen them listed on eBay, and I don't know if on Amazon, but I know they've been on eBay before. But find you a good culture of hardy whiteworms. I think you'll be really happy that you
That's where I think the challenge is, because I've bought some on Amazon and eBay, and I don't think they were great cultures because I never saw anything.
Yeah. I would suggest that if you're interested, I know for sure because they're my whiteworms actually that I got him set up to do. Um, it's Travis Morrell. I believe he sells his, culture starts. Contact somebody that you trust, that you're going to get a good culture from, because anything that we do, whether it's the rotifers, whether it's the whiteworms, whether you're building a house, it's the foundation that really matters. So
Yeah, true.
start off with something. So whew, I don't, I think that's Rick.
Yeah, it is, Rick. Rick, speak up.
I really,
Howdy.
hobby. I'd much rather give it away than I would sell it, because I want the community to thrive. I want them to be able to do things that doesn't cost an arm and a leg. That's why Lavoie's built our sieves at minimal cost, or you can go buy them online. Doesn't matter. But I'd much rather take that money that we save and, buy a coral or something. So,
Well, the main thing with most people is covering the shipping costs. Shipping cost is what,
Yeah.
like if you're willing to cover shipping costs for somebody, I'm sure they'll send you something.
right. And generally, honestly, I'll straight up tell you that's basically what I do. I shipped I shipped the culture of rotifers out yesterday. Yeah. And I got them to cover, the actual shipping charge. It's a little bit on me, coming up with the box and the ice pack and, buying the label, printing the label. But, if I want to give back to the community, I want the community to thrive and not be taken advantage of. That is another reason why I chose to do this, because it saves me a ton of money. So I love the saltwater community and what I get from it. And I just want to give back and hopefully, get others to stay in the hobby or to enjoy it more and not break their bank. So um, I don't know about that. I've been encouraged to, but I'd just rather try to help people out. Now, speaking of a saltwater community, what an adventure it has been for me over the last 3 years. April 3rd, we turned 3. But it's really been an adventure building a saltwater safe zone from my backwoods home in Arkansas. Some people say I have an accent. I don't know. I've never heard it. But it's a place, our community, as well as Carolina Reefing community, is a place where you're welcomed to ask questions, show off your tank without being ridiculed for doing so. We have provided a place where hobbyists, vendors, and reef gurus alike are welcome to discuss tips, tricks, topics, and their own personal experiences. We, in fact, encourage all members who want to contribute to the community to do so. Over the last 3 years, we have grown to nearly 7,000 followers by leading the group from the heart. And it's not me alone. I'm the one that you see every Tuesday night, but I don't do this by myself. I have the most wonderful team that helps me with my page. It means so much to me to see the to see the kindest hobbyists and vendors come together to encourage and uplift each other. We're a simple group with only a few rules to follow. Be kind and courteous. Literally, guys, we are all in this together. So treat others with respect. Healthy debates are natural and having a passionate point of view, but remember, no bull shark and no wrasse holes. That's our motto, always has been from day one. So we always stick by that. No self-promotion or spam. We love our vendors and our other groups. So we have set aside every Monday to let them shine. We encourage them to post up their products, their sales, their links, whatever, or shout out their group. Tell us how grand it is. Invite us to join. So we encourage that on Mondays. No hate speech or bullying. This will literally be your fastest ticket to exit Tank Talk with Tian. 100%. Offenders will be promptly removed. There are plenty of jacklegs out there that seem to encourage that to drive comments and boost algorithms, but I literally don't have time for that. The older you get, the less time you have left in your hourglass to leave a legacy behind. And I hope to leave one of kindness and sharing knowledge. The next thing is, please limit vendor tags and links. Again, that's what Mondays are great for. So I steer the ship from the heart and I follow the same rules as everyone else, which I feel is important to any group. But literally, guys, that is not the most important part of building a saltwater safe zone. Actually, the most important part of that is watching tonight. Real, living, breathing, saltwater loving people. It's you. Tank Talk with Tian is literally founded on real life people, not a bunch of bot generated social media profiles designed to bolster group numbers and skew market data. I have always said quality over quantity, and that is a hill I will die on. So there you have it. The key to a saltwater safe zone is no secret. In fact, it's the same in the reefing world as it is in any community. It is the people. No matter if you drive a fancy car or you walk to work, if you live in your mom's basement or a fancy mansion, always remember to value the people around you and don't be afraid to share your reefing experience with others. I do hope that this has inspired some of you to consider raising some of your live foods, showing that it really isn't that difficult or expensive, and it's very rewarding to be able to do it and know that it benefits the tank. Now, we were blessed with a website, tanktalkwithtian.com, from Donna Martinet back in March. There you can find some of our previous lives as well as vendor codes. Yep, we have a list of vendor codes and upcoming things that we have planned. So be sure and check out, before you order anything from wherever, go look on our website and see if there's a code you can use. I'm always about bargains. So thank you all for listening to me ramble on about a few of the things that I am very passionate about. And a huge thank you to the entire Carolina reefing community. Thank you, guys.
Well, thank you.
Well done. Thank you, Tian.
You are very welcome. If anybody has any questions that I can answer, I would be happy to do it.